Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name's Karli Barnett. We want to give you a look at some of the stories that we are following for your Saturday. It's been a busy day here at the Atlanta News First newsroom, so we want to give you a look at some of the stories that are already in the works and what we can anticipate for a little bit later on this evening. We did not have an early newscast, but we will have one tonight at 10. You can join us on Peachtree TV, and you can join us at 11 on CBS, or of course you can always stream us like you're doing now on Atlanta News First. You can look for that on your streaming platform. You can also watch our newscast streaming live on our website as well. So I know I'm a few minutes late getting on here, but that is because we have had some breaking news just into the Atlanta News First newsroom. So this is a developing story. We are working to learn more information, but what we do know is that Atlanta police tell us 3 people were shot in downtown Atlanta. This was at 240 Peachtree Street Northwest, so really right in the heart of downtown Atlanta. We know that 3 people sustained gunshot wounds. They were transported to the hospital. At this time, we don't know their exact conditions, but we are told that they were conscious and alert at the time of their transport. So we are just getting this information. We are in touch with Atlanta police and will continue to bring you more information on atlantanewsfirst.com. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our website here. Of course, you can always go to our website for more on all of our stories, our top stories there. And again, we are gathering more details on that. We hope to have those for you tonight when you join us for our full newscast. But at this point, we do not know the identity of these people, the exact conditions of these people, or if police have a suspect in custody. But this, of course, happening on a busy weekend right in the heart of downtown Atlanta. All right, the next story that we want to get to you, we brought you as breaking news last night on Atlanta News First. Unfortunately, a sad story to report out of Athens, and that is that a child was shot and killed last night. But we have some new details in that case, and that there was an arrest made today, the arrest of a teenager, in fact. A teen is in jail tonight. Police are still looking for 2 other people in connection to this shooting that killed a young child yesterday. Athens Clarke County Police were called to the Hallmark Mobile Home Park yesterday evening for the report of 2 children shot. One was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but a second child, unfortunately, could not be saved. 17-year-old Julian Cubillos was arrested shortly after that shooting and faces both murder and gang charges. Police are also looking for 16-year-old Jaden Brown and 18-year-old Dakius Eccles. They also face the same charges. Just devastating news out of Athens. This young child losing their life, and 3 children, essentially 3 teens, are being sought in connection to this shooting. We are awaiting more details this evening from Athens Clarke County Police. They have told us they will be sending us hopefully more details here in the near future, but this is what we know so far. This, again, we brought to you as breaking news last night on Atlanta News First. We do know that 1 arrest so far has been made in this case, and police are looking for 2 other teenage suspects, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. And again, I do just want to direct you here to our website, because as we continue to learn more information, you can continue to check our website. All of these things are developing stories. That's why we want to tell you about it here at the First Alert Desk, because this is the process of our journalism, where we're telling you how we are gathering these elements and bringing them to you on air and online. Taking you back out here live, we hope that you joined us earlier this evening. We were streaming both the President Biden being in town in Atlanta for his campaign rally, and former President Donald Trump being in Rome, Georgia for a campaign rally there. So it was really a tale of 2 rallies, 2 competing, potentially facing off again in the 2024 election. Of course, keep in mind that the presidential primary election is on Tuesday here in Georgia, and that could be very pivotal in ultimately securing the Republican nomination for former President Donald Trump. Not only will it be Georgia on that day, but also Hawaii, the state of Washington, and Mississippi. So pivotal Peach State, of course. All eyes are on Georgia because Well, we know we know our past with Georgia and what was traditionally a red state now turning into, I guess we could call it a purple state, if you will. So, a lot of eyes on Georgia, and that is why the president and the former president both rallying for votes today. So, we want to take you to. We'll start with President Biden. He was in Atlanta, and we had our political reporter, Doug Reardon, out at his rally. Now, he is going to be breaking down both rallies tonight. We have team coverage for you. He is there to explain what all President Biden talked about. Some of the topics that he touched on, he really came right for former President Donald Trump right off the bat, criticizing him. He discussed immigration. He discussed abortion rights. And discussing prescription drug costs. That's another been something that we saw in the State of the Union address as well. But it was outside of the rally that we also saw protesters. These are pro-Palestinian protesters rather, that were outside, and there was one that actually even disrupted the president's speech and had to be escorted out by security. We had our reporter Bridget Spencer. She was at that protest, and she's going to be covering what went on outside of these rallies. So not only is she covering the reaction, the protest in this case, regarding those who are in support of Palestine, but she's also hearing from supporters of President Joe Biden and supporters of former President Donald Trump to hear what they had to say, to see why they thought that each of their prospective candidates, if you will, is the person for the job. And then this is not video from the rally this evening, but we do have a previous video here of former President Donald Trump. He was in Rome at a location called the Forum. This is the city that is part of the congressional district of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. You'll remember that she was kind of sparring with President Joe Biden during the State of the Union address, calling on him to say the name Laken Riley. Laken Riley, of course, the nursing student who was murdered in Athens about 2 weeks ago, allegedly at the hands of an illegal immigrant. Her death has sparked nationwide conversation regarding immigration, regarding the border policy, and President Trump certainly touching on that in his speech this evening. Again, we are going to have live team coverage for you regarding the highlights from both of these speeches, both of these rallies. Representative Mike Collins, who Athens is in his district, he had tweeted out on the social media platform X that he had met the parents of Laken Riley this evening. He is also the sponsor of the Laken Riley Act that passed the House on Thursday. It would ultimately call for those who are charged with burglary or theft, illegal immigrants who are charged with local burglary or theft, to be required to be detained by ICE. Currently, that is not the case, but if this legislation ultimately passes, it would not only require that, but it would even give the states power to sue the federal government and hold them accountable, essentially, for what if an illegal immigrant commits an act that harms one of the state's citizens or harms the state itself. This is according to that bill. That is the language in this bill. So we've had a busy day here in Metro Atlanta with two presidents in town. We have President Joe Biden in Atlanta, former President Donald Trump in Rome, and we are going to be bringing you much more information. But we also have information from the outside of these rallies, too, those who are in attendance and those who also wanted to make their voices heard on various topics. But the protesters for Palestine outside, this comes as the U.S. did today airdrop more humanitarian aid into northern Gaza, including 41,000 meals and 23,000 bottles of water. So we were going to have more on all of these things tonight. I do want to go ahead and take you outside. Let's see here. Well, maybe I'm not taking you outside. But I can tell you that we have a beautiful stretch of weather ahead. And to tell us more about it, we have First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin here. Cutter, you said this is the nicest stretch of weather that we're going to have in months. months.
That it is. It's going to be very, very nice out there here as we go through the rest of the weekend on into the work week. So again, we're going to be watching this here for you pretty closely. A lot to talk about as we switch back over to our weather graphics here momentarily. That's mighty fine. That is mighty fine. There are no issues. Again, we're going to be setting up those weather graphics here for you very, very quickly. Just bear with us, and we're going to be rerouting some of our graphics. Obviously, it's been a busy news evening. We've been covering a lot here for you, including former president and a current sitting president both in town today. So a lot going on here for you on the stream. And now we're going to shift gears and talk weather, thankfully. Good news coming up in the first alert forecast. We can start with what's going on outside right now. In a sense, this is first alert radar, and again, right now looking pretty good. Notice showers and earlier thunderstorms that soaked our area last night into the wee hours of this morning. Those have shifted off to the south and to the southeast. It was a stormy day in coastal Georgia. In fact, we did have some reports of severe weather, tornado warnings in effect earlier. So it was a stormy day if you were traveling to southern Georgia, coastal Georgia. It was pretty rough go of it. It was a pretty rough go of it in that part of the state through mid-afternoon, and then finally we saw some improvement in the first alert forecast. Again, hello. Thank you for joining me. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here with a check of your First Alert forecast. We're going to give folks a few minutes to kind of readjust here now that we're shifting out of news and going back into weather. It looks like our stream is up and folks are watching on YouTube. Just one of a few places that you can watch. I want to remind you, you can always get a check of the forecast in the First Alert weather app as well, atlantanewsfirst.com. Roku, Amazon Fire, Amazon Fire Stick, I should say, Apple TV. Again, so many places that we're streaming at right now. And want to remind you that if you have any weather questions, however, the place to be, that is going to be on YouTube, monitoring that comment feed coming in. And right now, everything looks pretty quiet there. But again, I'm going to be watching the feeds here over the next several minutes, the next maybe 10, 15 minutes as we chat weather here. Again, let's take you back to the full screen. Going to let you know if you are traveling around the area, there is still a little bit of shower and even some thunderstorm activity. Again, this is mainly well to our south and to our southeast. Notice a few sprinkles here as we get back into portions of extreme northwest Georgia, East Tennessee. Colder air is filtering in, and accompanying that colder air, still some clouds to be dealing with. And also a little bit of sprinkle activity, again, mainly well to our north and well to our northwest, but can't rule out a little bit of sprinkle activity for the next couple of hours, mainly up in Polk County, also portions of Chattooga County, Floyd County, Fannin County, extreme north and northwest Georgia. In fact, I can zoom down into radar to give you a better vantage point of where this little bit of moisture is, and most of this is fizzling up and not really even reaching the ground. It was really up in southeast Tennessee, pushing towards Chattanooga. The little blips you see on radar outside of what's happening in northeast Alabama really not reaching the ground. We saw a few sprinkles. I drove through some just about an hour ago with these final few kind of rounds of clouds moving in. Kind of looked a little ominous with that sunset this evening. Beautiful glow out there with some dark and gray clouds overhead. But good news. Nicer weather, drier weather, cooler weather, and windier weather is on the way in the first alert forecast, and we'll be keeping that updated here for you as we go through the evening. The gist of what we have going on this evening, cooler and breezy. That's the weather that you are going to be dealing with. Current temperatures outside right now. We'll start with the metro. And again, there is a breeze, so it's going to feel a little bit colder. 57 in Dunwoody, 64 rather, Emory, campus up in Gwinnett County, 56 Alpharetta, 55 Hiram, 57 East Point. That 64 thermometer may be having a few issues up there just to the south of Buford. Buford Academy, for example, right now is at 57. Temperatures around the entire area. Notice how it's cooler. Up in Blairsville, 51. We have some 40s up in East Tennessee. Chillier air. There it is, working its way into North Georgia. But 62 LaGrange, 60 Locust Grove, 60 Covington, 62 in Athens. And as Karli mentioned, we have some of the nicest weather in months on the way. We're not talking 1 day of 70s. We're not talking 2 days of 70s. We're not talking 3 days of 70s. We could rack up 4 to 5 days of 70-plus degree temperatures, and the majority of those days will come with a lot of sunshine, low humidity, light breeze. It'll be a stunner of a midweek in the first alert forecast. We just have to get through a brief little cool spell this evening and overnight tonight into our Sunday, back half of the weekend, though sunshine will also be back in the first alert forecast. Hey, if tonight's your date night, temperatures continuing to cool, light jacket's a good idea. Notice winds at the bottom of the screen. They don't die down overnight. If anything, they may come up a notch or two with sustained winds, 10 to 15 miles per hour pretty easily. 10, 11, midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m. for the night owls out there that may be streaming. It is going to be a cold night comparatively. Comparing to the past few days that have had relatively mild conditions despite the gloom and some of the rain. I know yesterday was a little cool with the rain moving in. Before that, though, fairly mild. Last Thursday, just a couple days ago, was absolutely stunning. Hour by hour forecast, this is what clouds and radar, may look like, satellite and radar should say, into our early Sunday morning. And I think we're going to wake up even to more sunshine tomorrow, so kind of a stunning start to the day. Though we'll be chillier with temperatures back in the 30s. And lower 40s. So a cool Sunday is on the way, and we'll call it chilly in the morning. In fact, with sunshine winning out, temperatures will rebound back into the 50s and lower 60s. This forecast model has very little, if any, cloud cover tomorrow, maybe a high wispy cloud or two. I think the majority of that is well to our south, so not anticipating too much in the way of cloud issues tomorrow or blocking the sunshine. And overall, it looks pretty decent out there across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. In fact, when I say decent, I would say just about the only downside tomorrow is that it's going to be a little chillier, and there will be a breeze to make it feel just a little bit more brisk. Dexter, hello to you. Thank you for watching. Say good evening, Cutter. My question is for you this time as the time moves forward this evening. How soon can we expect Georgia for spring to blossom? And does it typically rain like this in March? Actually, Dexter, March is one of our wettest months. This has been an abnormally wet start to the month, Dexter, and I hope that you are still on the stream. We're not quite to the midway point of March and already well ahead of schedule, but March typically is one of our wettest months. October is typically one of our driest months, so not too unusual as the seasons, I should say, transition, a lot of S's there, transition from winter to spring. Typically, it does get pretty wet here across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. J. Karli Beals avatar on YouTube, again, Atlanta News First is the account that we're chatting on, saying, wow, prayers for the interested, referring to Karli's news stories, some heavy headlines this evening here on the Atlanta News First Plus stream. But yeah, Dexter, March is typically one of the wettest months of the year. February also can be on the wetter side. But what I will say, and what's nice here, is that we actually have improving weather as we get into the forecast tomorrow. Improving conditions, dry weather, sunshine. We need it. If you live near a drainage area, if you live near a river, a creek, probably noticing that those levels are a little higher than normal. We've had a lot of rain. Soils are saturated. And after yesterday's rain, we saw that water run off straight into rivers, because think of the soil as a sponge. Once that sponge is full of water, it can't hold anymore. Soil's the same way. Noticing on some of my walks this morning that pretty much every area that is designed to catch, act like a basin and catch some runoff is full of water. So we need the break from rain. No rain in the forecast tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. In fact, upper 50s to near 60. Some probably just above 60 for a brief time tomorrow. Most in the 50s. Despite the sun and that breeze, it's going to be chilly. Grab a jacket tomorrow. And in your 7-day forecast, here comes the gorgeous weather I was talking about. And again, if you need clarification on anything, whether it be the next 7 days, the next 10 days, deeper into April. I know, Dexter, you like to ask those weather questions looking deeper into the future. Now's the time to ask on Atlanta News First, the YouTube page, watching that particular feed. Don't have any new questions coming in. Again, looking at the latest chat, Dexter and Karli Beals, thank you all for chatting. And if you have any other weather questions, comments, concerns, give me a holler. You can also reach out to us on our personal pages as well. Not just mine, but also Ella Dorsey, Ronnie Harris, Courtney Jacobazzi, Patrick Pete, Fred Campania, Jennifer Valdez, all here to keep you updated. So again, all is good. If you have any weather questions, give us a holler, but no real concerns in the forecast until we get to Friday. Friday's our next first alert weather day. We are expecting a storm system to kind of move into the southern plains and then park itself for a day or two, and ahead of that, little pieces of energy kind of getting shot out, kind of like a slingshot, right into the southeast. And each one of those could come with a round of showers and thunderstorms. First round appearing to be Friday, and we're going to be watching the forecast into next weekend. I think there's some dry time to be had as well. Friday, though, looks like a day with a greater chance of rain impacting your plans, so we'll be watching that pretty closely here at Atlanta News First, keeping you updated. AtlantaNewsFirst.com, First Alert Weather app, streams like this on Atlanta News First Plus, and then the entire team, Tori Cooper, Karli, Barnett, and I, back on Peachtree TV at 10 p.m. Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta's CW affiliate, and then hopefully on time tonight, 11 p.m., we're back for the late news on ANF. I want to thank you for watching. Again, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out on social media. You can email us as well, and I'll be checking these comments in the next few minutes, even after the stream ends. And we'll be answering those weather questions as they come in. For now, though, enjoy your evening. Get outside and enjoy it. But do grab a jacket this evening. It's cooler. It's breezier. You'll need the jacket tomorrow, but I do promise. And we'll talk more about this coming up in just about an hour on Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV. Nice weather is on the way.